Hello everyone, I am Taureor and welcome to Stellaris Synthetic Dawn. The new DLC and free patch not only introduced, DLC introduced the robots, but it also rebalanced the game a bit. One of these rebalancing changes was making the naked Corvette build no longer viable, at least in theory. So, the naked Corvette, if you don't know, is a Corvette that only has weapons and basic stuff, and it's cheap, affordable, builds quick, doesn't require technology. And up until now, the naked Corvette was dominating everything. So, with the recent changes, I decided to make a test environment. I used console commands to craft the perfect environment, found a suitable battle, and created 7 Corvette fleets, Corvette only. You'll see that the fleets all have similar power ratings, but differ in the amount of ships. This is because each fleet cost the same. Each fleet cost around 10,000 minerals. I say around, the difference was about 1%, not more than that. And they differ by design. So, for example, this fleet contains 50 Corvettes with all the buffs and high-level weapons and shields and everything, but each of them was quite expensive, so there's 50 of them. Whereas this naked Corvette fleet consists of 123 Corvettes, but they are very basic, so there's more of them. What we're going to do now is pit each and every one of those fleets with different designs. I'm going to present all the designs in a moment against this system full of enemies. And each of those armies, each of those fleets should be able to defeat these crystalline entities, and these are crystalline entities, which is why I chose laser weapons for this. And then we will see, if they defeat them, how many have survived. We'll take the percentage, and this way we will try to ascertain which build is the most viable in general, because, you know, different build works against different enemies, and if the naked Corvette is really dead or not. Okay, let me quickly present all the builds. So, the naked Corvette is just basic stuff and laser weapons. Then we have a little bit more expensive Corvette level 1, which is just some basic shields added. But there's still quite a lot of them, because they're not much more expensive. Then we have Corvette with this will come later. Then we have the shielded Corvette, which has all the shields upgraded. I didn't put in shield capacitors or anything like that, because that's pretty expensive and not necessarily viable for the Corvette. Then we have the Corvette weapons only. It has only the lasers upgraded to the highest level, the rest is basic. Corvette weapons and buffs. Weapons are the higher level, and the AI, the engines, and the sensors are higher level. Corvette level 5, no buffs, which means super shields and super weapons, but none of these. And finally the pure level 5 Corvette, which has everything, including a shield capacitor. So, these are the fleets we're going to be testing. Let's get started, shall we? Oh, I should put them all on aggressive, shouldn't I? So just so we don't have to do it over and over and over again, I'm going to switch them all to aggressive. Redo the save game, just so I don't have to do that every time, because we're going to send one of the fleets, watch it fight, then we'll reload and we'll send a different fleet instead, so that they fight the same enemy. Let's start with the naked laser Corvettes. No admirals. Right, we're going to this system with crystalline entities. Let's unpause and watch it happen. Right. Okay, good evasion so far. As you can see, they're already sustaining heavy damage. They've won the first battle, but there's still 3 more fleets of enemies. And they have already lost quite a lot of Corvettes. Not much can be seen here, probably. Okay, we're down to 85 Corvettes, one more enemy fleet to fight. 80. 75. 75 Corvettes survived the battle. I have a spreadsheet open on another monitor. My recording setup won't let me show it to you, but I will input the amount of surviving Corvettes and then we'll compare the percentage. Okay, so how many survived? 75. Let me just put that in here. 75 Corvettes, which is 61% survival rate. Now let's try a different build. Now we're going to try, which ones? Maybe the level 1 Corvettes. The ones that have some basic shielding added. Here we go. Speed things up a bit. Now we're losing the resources, but we're not going to the negatives, so it will not affect the ships. Okay, survivability is pretty similar, even though we do have the shields, but they are the lowest level shields, so they don't have a lot of hit points. Still, it seems they seem to be doing better than the naked ones, percentage-wise. Much better, actually. Okay, that's 80 for just level 1 Corvettes. And that is 73% survival rate, which is much better than the naked ones. Let's switch to another setup. Let's go in the descending order of amount of ships. So, now the Corvettes that only have the lasers upgraded. And nothing else. Here you go. These should destroy the enemies a bit faster, but they will probably sustain heavy casualties while doing that. Now there's a little bit of randomness involved, but I feel that the powers of statistics will be on our side. Okay, heavy losses already. They seem to be doing worse than the level 1 Corvettes with defenses. 58 have survived. Weapons only, which will be around 60%, right? 57%, yes, because there was 101 of them. 57%, which is actually the worst result so far. So upgrading just the weapons is not a good idea. Now let's switch to the shielded Corvette. Shielded, here we go. This is basic weapons, good shields. 74 of them. Here we go. .74 basic lasers and advanced shields. Well, not advanced shields, hyper shields. But you know what I mean. Okay, this is actually going quite well for them. They destroy the enemy and didn't sustain very heavy losses, but it can still change significantly because they have less firepower than the previous models. They're actually losing quite a lot, but the shields do regenerate between those fights. Okay, we have 56 surviving shielded Corvettes, which is quite a lot actually, because we started with 74. That is 76% survivability in this case, in this battle, in this particular situation. But it is definitely much better than the ones that had only their weapons upgraded. Okay, we still have the weapons and the buffs to consider. 3 more fleets. Now weapons and buffs, which is the guns and these things, evasion and so on. Let's send you over here. Right, and we're testing basically the value of the Corvettes. How much firepower and survivability you can get for the same amount of minerals in each of those setups. Of course, this doesn't take into account the fleet cap, the naval capacity, which will favor the more advanced builds, definitely, because you just can't have, you know, all the Corvettes you want. You can't just have millions of Corvettes because your economy will not sustain them. Okay, 44 survived. Which model was that? That was the Weapons and Buffs class. 44 models, which is not very good. This is 61%. So this is basically the same ratio as we had with the naked Corvettes. I'm going to reiterate all that information at the end of the video, don't worry if you don't remember. Okay, now let's try the ones with weapons and shields, but no buffs. Okay, weapons and shields, that's level 5, no buffs. Good lasers, good shielding. No combat computers or anything like that. They should do quite well, but on the other hand, there's only 62 of them. Okay, lost quite a lot of them already. You have to take into account the fact that they get fired upon at range, but that's always a problem with the Corvettes, because they don't have super long-range weapons. Still, the ratio is relatively good so far. Okay, 40 Corvettes survived out of 62 starting ones, so that'll be about 70%, right? Oh no, 65%, which is actually in the middle. And the last one is the fully upgraded laser Corvette. The one that has all the shields, all the weapons, and all the buffs, but there's just 50 of them. Again, there is a bit of randomness involved, but I think the statistics will be mostly correct. Okay, we already lost 2 of them, even though they have shield capacitors as well. Maybe we would have been better off without the shield capacitors, because that would have reduced the cost significantly, or let us put on more shields. But yeah, this is the setup we're testing. 43 surviving, this is quite good actually. Quite good indeed. Okay, 42 out of 50, this is 84% survivability. 84% survivability. I don't even have to input that to the spreadsheet. But let's do that just so I don't forget the value. So, here you have it. Let's sort them from worst to best. The worst result was actually, you know what, I'll load the game so we have all of them with the proper amount of ships. Again, to reiterate, the conditions of the test were the Corvettes that costed the same in different quantities. So, the worst was the weapons only Corvette. This build. Super good weapons, but shitty everything else. And they had only 57% of them survived the battle. Which means, well, this is the worst value. Then we had 61% on 2 of them. On the naked Corvette, we had 61% survivability. But the advantage it has over the weapons only is not only the fact that more of them survived, also it doesn't require you to research the stuff. And also 61% was the weapons and the buffs. I probably should have checked the naked with buffs only, if this really helped the weapons only one. Now, I think we've tested enough variants. Basically, this is the second worst. Weapons and buffs and naked. Then, the next result in line is 65% survivability, no buffs. This is good shields and good weapons. 65% of them survived. Then, next in line is level 1 Corvettes. which is 110 Corvettes, with a little bit of shielding, which did help significantly, because 73% of them survived the battle. Then finally, we have the shielded Corvette, which had basic weapons, but good shields. 76% of them survived the battle. And the winner is, not surprisingly, although, I mean, different from the previous version, but I think this is what the devs were aiming for. The super high level with everything upgraded is the winner, because 84% of them survived. So the difference is quite high. The weapons only, the worst result was 57% survivability, the naked Corvette was 61% survivability, and the level 5 upgraded Corvette was 84% survivability. Another advantage the fully upgraded Corvette has is that it only takes 50 fleet supply, whereas the naked Corvettes have taken 123. And, well, that is basically it. The one disadvantage the level 5 has is that you need to research all these technologies to get it. But that's the point of the technologies, right? So, in conclusion, I believe that the naked Corvette is still a viable option, although only early game, because if you can use the better ones, you will want to use the better ones, since they do have better results. And of course, right at the end of the video, my phone rang. Sorry about that. Anyway, I hope this was informative, and I hope that will help you understand the changes to the game in Synthetic Dawn. And there will be another video following the changes to missiles, which don't suck anymore. I'll see you there. Goodbye.